MMA's national amateur platform has arrived. It is the Elite Amateur Fight League, and this is the Fighter First Podcast.
What's up, fight fans? We are back for another edition of EAFL's Fighter First Podcast, and I'm Cimm Brothers, voice of the EAFL from day one, joined by the founder, the creator, the president, the CEO, the man of many hats, Jesse Nunez, toughing it out in Chicago, Chi-Town, and Illinois, a big part of the Elite Amateur Fight League. It's our home base. It's where we've held many of our events in the great city of Chicago. And joining us now are a couple of guys really familiar with Illinois and Chicago. They're officials, they're referees, they've worked EAFL events, and right now they're waiting, like everybody else is, like we are, for the coronavirus to run its course so events can start happening again and we can all get back to doing what we love. Joining us on the program right now are Nick and Mike Cimm. They're twins. They're 41 years old, and they've been officiating since 2013. And Mike, Nick, it's a real pleasure to have you guys here on the show. And I don't know which one of you wants to start, which one of you was born first. I don't know, but I guess I'll just eeny, meeny, miny, mo. We'll go alphabetical. I'll start with you, Mike. And, you know, looking at you and your brother and just sharing that journey together, being officials, working events together, that's got to be an awesome thing to experience with your brother.
Yeah, you know, it's you know, on top of being with my brother, it may sound like blowing smoke, but he's, in my opinion, one of the best officials out there. So I don't just get to work with a good official; I get to learn from a good official, and it's just fun. It's my brother, you know, so we're going along for a ride. You know, it's a good time.
How about you, Nick? What's it like for you?
So to rewind a little bit, we both started officiating and reffing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu matches, and it grew from there. I fought MMA and some Muay Thai, and I kind of transitioned as I was getting older to the officiating side, and then got some certification. I got command certified through the Big John McCarthy, and did that, and then eventually brought my brother over to get him involved, and you know, it's again, to be able to do something like that with my brother, my twin brother, it's a lot of fun. You know, we get the best seat in the house.
Yeah, and Jesse, you know as well as I do, when you guys get that certification, when these guys get that certification from Big John, that's when we know we have elite officials working our events, Jesse, because Big John's is the holy grail for officials.
Absolutely, and you know what? These guys do a fantastic job, not only refereeing but sanctioning the event. And, you know, there's a lot of early on during the Elite Amateur Fight League, getting teams to travel into somebody else's state. There's a lot of skepticism about, you know, are these refs going to be, or the sanctioning body, are they going to be homers? Are they going to, you know, do things in favor of the home team? And, you know, you've got to have legit referees and sanctioning bodies for this thing to work. And in Illinois, it's worked fantastic. I mean, we brought Arizona to Illinois, and Arizona won a national championship, right? So you can't say it was a homered event or these guys or the judges are pulling for the home team. These guys are legit, man. They're not gonna call a decision one way when it's another. They're gonna referee it fair and above board at all times, and that's really why I like working with these guys. And what they do in Illinois is they do a fantastic job with sanctioning, refereeing, and judging. So hats off to you guys, man. Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So what do you guys think of the EAFL events? I know once the fights start, it doesn't matter who's in there. It's just real methodical, and it could be two bears fighting and you guys are by the book. But when you have a chance to kind of take it all in and see the team versus team, state versus state, and, you know, teams traveling and elite athletes from different regions of the country competing against one another, that's got to be cool for two guys like you who love the sport so much and really are in it. Because everyone who's in this sport is in it for the love. Let's be honest. None of us are getting rich. None of us are in it for any other reason other than we really love it. It's almost an egoless thing when you're a referee or an official. It's just something that you're in there to do. It's a passion for you. So when something like this comes along where you get to see a new concept with this type of format and setup, you got to really love that, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the like you were saying, it's the best of the best at amateurs throughout the nation, and the level of the competitors is just, it's generally, you know, it's steps above the local shows. Not saying that even the guys that fought, you know, they fight on these local shows, you know, but maybe one or two of them, you know, but we have a whole card of those guys who are just, you know, good fighters, and you know, we get the best seat in the house, you know, to watch some great fights, you know, and I love it.
Hey, so guys, we had our event scheduled March 27th at Cicero Stadium. We were building Team Illinois up for the 4th season of the Elite Amateur Fight League. Unfortunately, we got that call from Nancy in the state of Illinois, canceling all sporting events, not just ours, and not just MMA. I mean, everything. From football and basketball and mixed martial arts, everything's canceled. And luckily, we had a date on the books of July 25th back at Cicero Stadium. But I'll be honest, man, I don't think that's going to happen either with the way things are going. And we haven't heard back from the state at this point to give us a date of a roundabout, and to be fair, I don't think they know. And, we're just kind of all in hiatus waiting for this to happen. But a little bit of news, we're trying to get – well, we're not trying. We plan on doing a show for round number 1 of the Season 4 tournament. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to fly all 12 teams to one location, have 6 independent events, record it all in 2 days in the studio. Because
amazing.
We don't know we're going to be able to have fans, right? So we can't just hold up the season. But one of the locations we're hoping to do it in is Illinois. I can't afford an island. I'm not Dana. So we're
Come on, Jesse. Come on. You got it.
Cough it up. Let's go.
Hey, isn't that casino on an island in Illinois over the bridge there on the way to Indiana? That's
that's just a floating boat, and they don't even count anymore. But, we're going to have it in one way or another. We're going to bring all 12 teams to one location. Really super excited about doing it. I would love to do it in Illinois simply because I'm home and makes it easy. And you guys could be the
I would love to.
Team. That'd be really cool. But right now we're looking at Virginia, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, Northern and Southern California, Alpha Male and Team Quest, Jackson Wink over in New Mexico, Fight Ready out of Arizona, American Top Team out of Florida, Midwest Training Center, and a bunch of the other gyms out of Illinois. Like, we've got a sturdy group of states and competitors. We're still finalizing some of the teams. We've got 21 states apply for 12 spots. So
awesome.
we've got to figure that out and which teams get built first and which teams look the most competitive, really. And we're really excited to do that. But if we could bring that to Illinois, we're gonna. And just getting your thoughts about being able to officiate a full 2-day event with 42 fights. It's going to be awesome.
That would be awesome. I mean, again, high level competition. I'm all in. 2 days. Let's do it. I mean, hopefully the restrictions get lifted a little bit and we can make it happen. Hopefully,
How many fights can you guys do in a day? Does it matter? Is there a limit for the commission, like in terms of like how fresh you are, or over a 1 day or a 2 day period? Is there a limit to how many fights you can work in the cage?
If there's 42 fights and it's spread out throughout the day, then it's not a problem if you get some breaks in there, But usually when we work these events, 14, 15 fights by yourself, you get a 5-minute break twice,
What about you, Mike? What are your thoughts on that? Staying fresh, keeping the fighters safe, working all those fights?
So I mean, like Nick said, I mean, if you're gonna a normal night, if you're gonna have, and again, it's I understand it from the promoter's side, like it's tough to have 15, 20 fights, whatever it is, right? And then you get there and how many drop out, and so it's tough for Brian to be like, all right, I'm gonna have 3 refs because we got 20 fights going into it, and then we get to the show and there's 11 fights. So Brian knows, like.
Well, that never happens. What are you talking about?
Exactly. Never happens on the amateur level, right?
No, and I think like the NCAA tournament in basketball, when you have a sub-regional or whatever, the same crew does 2 games together. Mm-hmm. And then they get they get tapped out. So I guess the key for you guys will be just rotating in and out and
exactly.
Like maybe like 3 refs or something, so that like you get one every third fight or something like that.
Yeah, there's another promoter that does an outdoor show here in Illinois, and he's notorious for literally like day show, like night show, and we'll have 20, 30 fights on a card. Like, and I think I've seen almost 4 refs for those shows, just because it's outside, it's 800 degrees out, and fatigue sets in after a match or 2. So staying fresh, keeping it, multiple guys, and then again, knowing like if you are at a show and then it's, hey, Mike, there's 9 fights and you're reffing all of them, it's knowing that, okay, well, I'm reffing these. and I am going to fatigue, and I've got to pay attention. And we're working as hard as everyone else, right? Because we know, like, again, it's the hardest seat in the house, right? Like, we get the best seat, we get to see all the action, but when something goes wrong, the first person they're going to point their finger at is us.
To me, I also look at it as one of the hardest jobs in the world is to be an official of any sport. And, a home plate umpire in baseball, you try calling balls and strikes. Guys are throwing 95 and sliders are dropping in the dirt last second, and you're trying to judge the trajectory of the ball. You try, telling me if a guy got 2 feet down in the corner of an end zone full speed when he's running a 4.3 40 and the throw's coming at 85, 90 miles an hour. And this is what I want to know, because I'm sitting cage side, and it's different from even my point of view than it is yours. How fast is it actually happening in there in front of you, and how hard is it to keep up with everything?
So I think there's a lot that goes into that question. I think the reality is the fact that we train, the fact that have fought and we've been there. You can see what the fighters are doing, and it's understanding what they can do and where they're going to go. I think you need to know that more than anything. If you're just reacting to what they're if you're just reacting to what they're doing, you're going to be a second behind or 2 seconds behind. It's what is their stance like? Can they throw a punch from there? Can they throw a kick from there? Is the opponent, is he standing in a position, or is his posture in a way where he can get hit or he can take the shots? So I think more than anything, it's understanding the fight game and understanding a fight and what techniques can be utilized at that point. Like when it gets down to the mat and then they're grappling, now they start using jiu-jitsu, and if you don't know jiu-jitsu, it's like somebody especially at the amateur level, right? Not all these guys are jiu-jitsu black belts, and some of them may not know how to tap, and if somebody's cranking on an armbar, on a belly down armbar, like if you don't know where to look or where to push to alleviate the pressure once that person taps, like you can really get somebody hurt in there, So again, being involved in these sports and training and doing this, I think I think plays a huge part in being at the right place at the right time when it comes down to that in the cage, and not reacting to it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you really want to make sure that the fighters are safe. I mean, these guys and girls are, they're just learning. They are amateurs, and even if they are elite amateurs, I mean, you see title fights in the UFC where people are going, hey, let them fight, let them go. I mean, even the BMF title fight with Masvidal and Diaz, that one would have kept going if not for how bad the cut was. But for you guys, when you're reffing pros versus amateurs, how much of a difference is there, and how much leeway you'll give them, how much extra time, how much extra, before you stop it, or, just anything like that when it's pros versus amateurs?
So I don't even think that it's how much more leeway I'll give them. I'll let you fight until you can't fight anymore. I think the only difference is the tools you're allowed to use in a pro and an amateur fight. You're allowed more tools in a pro fight, but when a fight's done, and a lot of the times, especially at the amateur level, these fighters, they're warriors and they're willing to go out on their shield, right? And it's a lot of the times you have to stop the fights because they're done, and they're going to complain, or the coaches are going to complain. Lucky enough, we've been doing this long enough now that most of the coaches in Illinois know us, and they don't really argue it anymore, but they know that we're here, we're looking out for their fighters, but again, to answer your question, it's when they can no longer fight, that's it, the fight's over.
Nick Cimm and Mike Cimm here on EAFL Fighter First Podcast, and I'm Jim. Jesse, of course, here with us, and we're continuing on, just having some fun, talking some sanctioning and some rules. And hey, real quick, before we keep going, I have a little of a cameo here on the Elite Amateur Fight League Fighters First Podcast with Nick Cimm and Mike Cimm, referees in Illinois, and Jesse Nunez, EAFL president. We got Mike Goldberg, Bellator MMA voice.
Hey, Goldie, what's up, man?
Goldie, guys.
I brought my own mouthpiece, I promise. I hear these hockey teeth that I need to get fixed. You know, it's
Love
crazy
it.
how insurance doesn't cover that. What, you know, like,
Yeah.
because it's cosmetic, right?
Yeah. And how about when you say you have this stuff and they say no, they say I don't need it. I can still fight.
Yeah. I'm like, you know, looking like Bobby Clark is really cool, but not so much on the air, right? Lately, I guess, you know, it's not quite a factor. You know, all kidding aside, though, I hope everybody's staying safe. But yeah, it's crazy. Just looked at Grease and he's kind of like, "How you doing?" I'm like, "Man, I'm like all of us, starting to go a little crazy, starting to get some cabin fever, running out of lights to repaint and locks to redo, and I might start like asphalting the whole neighborhood." I'm like, I'm at that point, guys.
Funny.
Perfect.
But I came to re-up on my Neuroforce subs, and I got my
Awesome.
bio strap on, and it's amazing. I'm getting better sleep scores, but that might be because I'm starting to get lazy. Let's just leave it at I'm getting better sleep scores. How about
There you
that?
go.
Well, I know you guys are in good hands with Grease, so it's nice to say hello.
One thing I know for sure, all these years he's been my friend, Mike Goldberg always brings the heat every single time. And, you know, a lot of us have a lot of pent-up energy right now, and Goldie was telling me this, you know, he's missing it. He's really missing it, sitting around, you know, not having those shows to go and do and traveling around doing what we do and all these things we take for granted. But he wanted me to thank you guys for, you know, having him on and just being a part of it with him and having him come in and say hi to me, pop his head in the door right at that time was pretty awesome. The legendary voice of MMA, Mike Goldberg. He's the guy. I mean, when you think about boxing, you think about Jim Lampley. When you think about MMA, you think about Mike Goldberg. So that was really cool. And when you think about officiating in the state of Illinois, you think about Nick and Mike Cimm. So it's great to have you guys on the show on EAFL Fighter First Podcast. You like that segue? Maybe I was forcing it a little bit. I don't know.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
We had fun. Anything you guys want to add before we wrap it up?
No, thanks everyone. Stay safe. Can't wait
till we get back, right? I mean,
get these shows going.
All right, we're going to be seeing you guys all soon. Appreciate you very much. This has been the EAFL Fighter First Podcast. Jim Grieshaber here with you. Hey, the EAFL is going to be back before you know it with Season 4, our best season yet. 21 teams applying for 12 spots. Who gets in, who doesn't, who has to wait another year. Hey, competition is a good thing. It'll help the competition never hurt anybody. It's what the sport is based on. Check out the archives, the best amateur fighting in the world on all our social media platforms. You can go through, search them out, see some of the best fighters who have come through from Alpha Male and Jackson Wink and SoCal with Team Quest and all sorts of great fighters on the way through. Until next time, Jim Grieshaber, Jesse Nunez, for Nick and Mike Cimm, this has been EAFL Fighter First Podcast, the Elite Amateur Fight League, the only team versus team, state versus state MMA league in America.
So you want to hear the funny part, Jim?
Yeah.
I didn't know these guys were twins. I thought it was one dude.
I teach jiu-jitsu in the city, and Mike teaches jiu-jitsu out in the west suburbs here in Illinois. And we both have run into and meet, you know, just different people. And then when we go to tournaments, people will think that I'm Mike, and people will think that he's Nick, you know. And here we are, almost 41. That it's like I don't tell anybody, oh, I'm not Mike. I don't know you, you know. I just, oh, hey, how you doing?
hear him.
You're not going to give me a wave? Give me something? Give me a fist? Give me something. Come on, Isaac. Just one. Just one. Yeah.
Oh, he stuck you, Jim.
There it is.
Yeah, you're right.